Good afternoon, live from London. What a sunny day today and a very nice weather out. I welcome everyone on the show called Live with Musa Sheikh. Live with Musa Sheikh, we discuss different important things, and today we are going to discuss the post Brexit immigration scenario and the situations in UK. I can see there is a great scope for the people who are living outside UK and they want to make United Kingdom as their homeland. There are open and prosperous opportunities subject to you meet the criterions. So I'm very happy to introduce you with our guest of the day today. So our first guest is the CEO of Berkeley Middle East, live from Dubai, Miss Khalud Shaban.
Hello, hello everyone.
Hi Khalud, how are you doing?
Hi, good. How about you?
That's great. We are receiving a lot of phone calls, emails, and web inquiries. People are really excited. They want to know that what are the new things happening in United Kingdom in terms of immigration. And you as immigration company working last 20 years in the Middle East, I'm sure that you can play an active role. So would you like to introduce yourself and the Berkeley Middle East immigration companies?
Yeah, sure. I'm Khulud, CEO of Berkeley Middle East, and one of them is immigration services. We have been providing immigration services for the past 20 years for different parts of the globe, Canada, US, Australia, and UK. So today we are here to talk about the what UK government is offering new updates in the UK immigration, which is really exciting, and we will have a lawyer live, solicitor live from UK. Discussing all of these, we will also be asking different questions, and audience are free to post any questions down in the chat if they would like to know any further information.
That's amazing. So, Khulud, I want to appreciate for arranging this all for the audience. I think this will be a great value for them. And as you said, that they should subscribe to this channel. That so any update of any video they can see by themselves automatically.
Sure.
And top of this, that they can write their question in the chat box as well. So now I'm moving ahead, and I want to introduce to the audience a very nice friend of mine. He's a British lawyer and a very eminent personality and very popular, based in London and Berkeley, and he is associated for quite a long time. So I feel honored to introduce Clement. He's the partner for Garth Associate. And Clement, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, enjoying the weather, as you said. It's
That's great. It's a nice weather outside, very sunny after so many days.
definitely.
And I want to thank you for taking out your busy time. I know you are a very busy lawyer nowadays, are really busy because the new products are really keeping them busy as well. Thank you very much for joining the show.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity. As always, it's always just a good opportunity for us to cooperate with Berkeley Middle East. So hopefully this will be a productive webinar, and we'll be the first of the many.
Thank you. Looking forward. And we were watching deeply about Brexit, and post-Brexit scenario looks really exciting, where everyone is equal to come to UK if they qualify, of course, the category. So people want to know what are the new things that has been introduced yet. And of course, I would request you one by one that we go in as much detail we can go to share to enlighten people about these opportunities.
Correct. Okay. I think it will be good. It will be good. There are so many changes. It may help if you want to go through category by category, and I'll be happy to help.
That's great. So let's start with the most the category that is most demanded.
Okay, I think the most important one with all the changes is the so-called skilled worker category. It used to be referred as Tier 2, a technical term. So it's part of the new policy that they are moving away from these technical terms and trying to use simple terminology defining the categories. So it's called skilled worker. That's the new category for those who wish to come to the UK to be employed by a UK company. Now, I'll try and explain. There are so many changes, as I said, but I want to keep it simple and try and explain the principle. Prior to Brexit, as you know, EU nationals, they were free to come to the UK and take on any employment. Now, after Brexit, EU nationals are also subject to the same immigration rules that any other nationals are. So there are no actually preferential rules or treatments for EU nationals. As a result, we will be going through this maybe transitional period of 2-3 years. Things may change down the line. So policymakers agreed that businesses will need time to adapt to the new regime. Prior to Brexit, for a UK company to employ a foreign worker, they had to, in short, meet 2 tests. One of them is the skills level. The second one was the salary level. The most important one is the skills level. They were only limited to roles for managerial roles, engineering roles, for example, business development, marketing manager, but any roles at lower levels, for example, a personal assistant, company secretary, or maybe a personal assistant in like a training coach, or restaurant manager. Those were defined as lower skilled categories, and they were not eligible for sponsorship or for UK companies to employ a migrant worker, because the EU nationals were actually fulfilling that gap. Now, EU nationals are also subject to the UK immigration control. Businesses in the UK, they also need lower level skilled workers. That's why Home Office decided we have to reduce the threshold. So technically it used to be so-called NQF level 6. Now it has been reduced to NQF level 3. But it makes more sense when I give examples. As I said, for example, a restaurant manager can be now employed by a UK company which has a license, as long as the business can explain the person in question is the most suitable person that the business needs. The second requirement, the salary threshold, there used to be a general minimum of £30,000 gross per annum. That was the general overall minimum. And then you had to look at the occupational code minimum. So you have to pay whichever is higher. Because they reduced the skills level, they had to reduce the salary threshold also. So it went down to around 25,000. That's also important because it kind of allows small-scale businesses to sponsor migrant workers, and maybe they wouldn't be able to afford if the salary level remained at 30,000, but it's now around 25,000. So businesses who genuinely need skilled workers at lower levels will able to employ a migrant worker. So this is good news, because I mean it confirms UK is pro-business as usual, and they moved away from, I would say, the old regime was a bit more rigid and defined, and it would only accept certain categories. Now they prioritize the business need. But this does not mean, obviously, that they do not have the right to turn down an application made by someone who is not a genuine employee. So the so-called genuine business need and the genuine vacancy is there. As long as these requirements are met, now it's more effective way of controlling immigration for UK businesses. So in short, that's how I would explain. I mean, this is good news for many small-scale businesses that may be worried that when things go back to normal, especially for catering businesses, if they're worried that, you know, who would they be employing if they don't have these EU nationals coming, they have the new rules which would allow them to actually employ a migrant worker and sponsor them.
That's amazing. I think.
I don't know if this. Feel free to ask if you need more details, because as I said, I don't want to confuse the audience with technical.
That's great.
This is in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
so related to your points is
Yes,
about we are talking about a list of which we called
acceptable
as
job.
most demanded occupations
Yes,
in which the good news for the audience is there are so many designations which qualifies
correct.
if you're a IT engineer, IT profession, if you are
Very
from
workers,
uh,
correct.
key health workers like nurses,
Correct.
doctors, they are
Correct.
really in demand.
Correct. I gave some of these kind of, you may refer them as more admin roles, but the general requirement for the skills level has been reduced. And we have a list, and it may be practical if we share the list of what jobs are acceptable following the webinar, and anyone who may have an inquiry, would my role be eligible? And they can refer to that list and see if that occupational code is acceptable. Because we have that list, and I'm happy to share that.
That's great. That will be a great help for the audience if they come to know what are those professions where they can fit in, and
Correct.
if it is the case, then the situation is quite likely suitable for them. My
Correct.
other question is in this way that what is this point-based system that has been introduced related to this category?
I mean, the reason they refer to it as point-based system is that from different categories, you'll be scoring points when you get a visa, and you need to score minimum number of points. It's just to make it easier for caseworkers to assess each category. For example, for the skilled worker category, your offer and the salary rate, and then the actual English level that you need to meet, or the so-called maintenance requirements, you'll be scoring points for all these requirements for the specific category. And it used to be, I have to say, not serving the purpose, because you would either score the full point or you wouldn't. Under this category, you may actually use certain points. For example, if you have a PhD degree, to substitute it with maybe the salary level requirement. That way, you're making up the points that is required for that specific category. The new system is more effective now. It makes more sense. Let me just give an example. For example, student visa, it used to be you need to have the maintenance requirement and you get 10 points. You need to meet the English requirement, you get 10 points. And then if you have CAS, you also get, let's say, 20 points. And if you have 40 points, you get the visa. But there wasn't any other way of scoring points. You couldn't score 30 points, or you couldn't score 35 points. Under this new regime, as I said, you can actually trade some points, and you just make up the points that you need to get the visa that you're applying under. And also the plan is down the line, when someone needs to apply or wants to apply for settlement, your points also will be added. So it's just a long-term planning, and also it's a kind of a practical way of assessing categories, just to make sure that you qualify through different routes. So
That's
now,
great.
yes, what we're going through is more productive.
That's great. So one more question that we generally receiving is about the English language capabilities.
Correct.
So what score is required for this kind of
It's
category?
now overall, in more or less all the categories, it's a B1 level, and it doesn't make sense when you say B1 to many, but it's maybe, if I say IELTS around 4, IELTS level 4, most probably that would make more sense if anyone is familiar with the IELTS test. There are quite few acceptable test centers which are organized and which are appointed by the UK immigration authorities, and they provide these tests. So it's not only IELTS, and some others. So in speaking, listening, writing, and reading, you have to score minimum B1 level. That for IELTS, that's equal to around IELTS 4. It's not too high. I wouldn't say it's too high.
I think four is the score that if you are a school leaver and you just go and give your test, I think
Correct.
5.5 you can at least get easily.
Correct. So it's
So
not too high. B1 is not too
yeah,
high.
unlike in Canada, we are always seeking for 7.5, and
Which is quite high.
of course, so it means that it is a sort of piece of cake for those people who really
This is
have
correct.
even
And this is in
those who
line.
have good English, they are relaxed. Even
This is
those
in,
who have bad English, still score is
and
too
correct.
threshold
They
is
may.
too low to meet them. Yeah.
I mean, this makes sense because this is the so-called case-by-case assessment. So they don't want to restrict a genuine
Mhm.
employee and have a really
Mhm.
high threshold for English if that level is not required for their job. Also,
Mhm.
that's why also there are no formal qualification requirements. So applicants would not be required to have a minimum bachelor degree or master degree. It's just they would look at the applicant's profile, background, experience, and then the business and judge, is this a genuine employer-employee relation? And then if
Sure.
that's visa would be approved. So it has to be case by case.
That's amazing. And
Yes.
some people do ask this question that if they have cleared their O levels and A level exams from Cambridge outside the UK, so will it
Yes.
be still considered as an English language, or they need
Unfortunately,
to give?
no. Even if let's say they are studying at a UK university in their second year, third year, because they don't have a UK degree, they would still have to take the test.
Hmm.
So
So means that they should have a UK degree
or
within the UK or outside the UK.
both are acceptable. I mean, if, for
Hmm.
example, you have a degree from UAE and your
Hmm.
degree was taught in English, so you may want to use that degree and you
Hmm.
apply to UK NARIC, which is the organization that confirms if your
Hmm.
English level as part of that degree is enough and sufficient for the purpose that you're applying. So you
Hmm.
may get your degree from outside the UK assessed. It may be sufficient. It may not be. It depends on the degree you have. But if you have a
Hmm.
UK degree, that ticks the box for
Hmm.
English language requirement. Okay.
That's great. That's great. So there are some genuine employers always that, for example, there are British employers, restaurants, and
Correct.
they are always looking for some chef. They are in Arabic, for
Correct.
example, cuisines, or maybe Indian cuisines and Pakistani cuisines. So they
Correct.
need people genuinely from outside, and web developers,
Correct.
accountants.
All
And
these
what I feel as a group CEO, sometimes I feel that my employee sitting in Abu Dhabi, I need him in London because he's more closer
correct.
to my heart, and
Correct.
he does the things more faster than the one that I will hire from the open market. So
As long as you can explain and justify your decision that it's a genuine business decision and that this is important for your business to expand and grow, then yes.
mhm,
But on the contrary, I mean, if it comes across as you are generating this specific role to secure an immigration status for someone whose priority is just to have a status in the UK, then of course they would
mhm.
have the right to refuse it. That's why it's now
So
more subjective assessment. Okay, so it's case by case. At home office would try and keep it simple. If on paper and on the face of it, it's obvious that it's a genuine employer-employee relation, they wouldn't make the case longer than required. But if they have any reservations, they have the right to ask further information. So they would ask, how did you identify this person? Why is this person the most suitable person for this role? What are their credentials and experience or qualifications? So they would try and understand, was this a genuine? But they don't do this automatically. They just look at the application and decide if they should make further inquiries.
that's great. I think previously, before Brexit, maybe a big size employer used to have foreign workers like
Correct.
UBS or maybe HSBC. But
Mhm.
after post scenario, do you think that only the big size employer can hire you, or
No,
any
no.
medium or lower size can also
On the
hire a
contrary,
foreign worker?
I think following the new rules, there will be so many small or medium-scale businesses applying to have a license. I mean, we haven't discussed. We've been focusing on the actual visa for the employee, but prior to that, the business would need to register themselves as a company which may employ a migrant worker. So effectively, you apply for a license first, and you almost go to a short audit as a company, you show that you're based in the UK and you have a UK bank account and you're genuinely trading, then you get a license for 4 years. So following Brexit, you have so many businesses applying to obtain this license, and from different sectors that we wouldn't normally have an interest, because they would have their employees from the EU market and that they wouldn't need a license, but now they do. For example, we have local gyms that they employ trainers, personal trainers. They wouldn't normally be able to employ these under the sponsorship. Now they will. So these companies would have to apply for a license, and as I explained, lower skill jobs would be okay to sponsor. So as I said, I would think more companies are going to have license, not just big companies and big organizations. Yeah.
I think that's a good news, and where this product becomes really workable in a way that a small,
Correct.
medium, and larger employers in UK, what I understood is they have to get a license to hire a
Correct.
foreign worker. So there
Yes.
is a bit of part on their shoulder which solicitors are doing for them.
Correct.
Until
Yeah.
they get their own license, then they can hire a right skill for them. And
Yes.
as I understood from your talks, it's a point-based system. So
Yes.
there are points for your salary, and there are your points for your skills, and there
Correct.
is a points for your English language.
Correct.
And these all points minimum should reach to 70 points.
Correct.
So if
Correct.
they reach
That's
70,
correct. Yes, then you're okay. But again, I mean, to me, these are a bit technicalities, and it's just, again, there is no need for the audience to be confused. It's all about being practical. So they didn't want to focus on, okay, we are saying that the minimum salary level is, let's say, 25,600. But what if someone can't meet that requirement? Do we say no? No, they look at, okay, if this person is, let's say, an academic or someone at that level, they normally don't get that salary. There are certain exceptions, so that they trade points, even though they don't score the minimum maybe from the salary, they get other points because of their skills. So this is, again, just trying to be practical and not having something like a rigid system wouldn't help all the businesses. So that's why they have this flexibility. But English, you have to have 10 points, or maintenance, you have to have 10 points. It's about the salary level mainly.
That's great. I think anyone above 26,500 pounds plus a British degree already have a good English language test.
And that's reasonable. Yes, I think that's
they are the ideal candidates to enter in. That's great.
Correct.
These are some few questions I ask is actually shared by the audience during all these days, and I think they get a great they got their answers. So it's a right time to move to the next category, which is soul representation. Yes. So please, can you explain this category and it's.
Of course. I mean, in general, not just for migrants, but there is this term called sole representative for those representing an overseas business in the UK. From immigration point of view, we refer to that category as representative of an overseas business. So this category is a really old category. It has been around for many years, and for obvious reasons, because again, UK would accommodate businesses looking to expand and tap into the UK market. And this is the category that actually allows businesses, overseas businesses, to send their senior employees to set up either a branch or a wholly owned subsidiary in the UK. Even though this category has been around for many years, recently, I would say recently, but it's about 6 months now, so it's in June 2020, last year, we had some changes in the immigration rules regulating this category. I think it would make sense if I may explain also, prior to these changes, some of our audience may know that we used to have a category called Tier 1 Entrepreneur. Now, the Tier 1 Entrepreneur category was for those looking to invest £200,000 in the UK. That category has been closed, and for anyone looking to come to the UK to set up a business, you right now have the investor visa route, which you need to bring 2 million instead of 200,000, or only if your business is innovative enough, and we will discuss that with 50,000 you may set up a business. So this now prevents any traditional businesses setting up in the UK. So the only available category, if the business meets the requirements, is this sole rep and the representative of the overseas business category. And this category has been used by many overseas applicants in the last, I would say, 1.5 years. So it's becoming more and more popular. So the changes in the rules was in a way in response to these an increased number of applications. So the Home Office now are trying to make sure that only those, again, the term genuine and the genuine businesses are allowed to come to the UK. I was expecting the changes. I was expecting it to be even more strict, but in terms of, for example, what qualifies as an overseas business, I was expecting maybe changes like businesses with minimum 50 employees, businesses minimum $1 million or plus turnover, or businesses which has branches in at least 2 different countries. So they didn't do that, but what they did is they introduced the so-called subjective assessment, and I will explain. And also they explained that they will also look into those applying to come to the UK and their family members, and if the family members are related to the business, they restricted who can come as a family member. So this is important to understand, because this was in response, as I said, to control the number of those coming to the UK. Let's focus on the basics of the category. So who can come to the UK under the representative of an overseas business? To start with, if your business has any potential or actual business in the UK, and you want to send your representative, and who can be your representative? Someone who is a senior employee, or someone who does not have major shareholding in the overseas business. So the idea behind this is that the actual business, the head of the operation, remains outside the UK. So if they allow the business owner to come to the UK operation will no longer be a branch or a wholly owned subsidiary. Therefore, they need to make sure that only the minority shareholder or a senior employer comes to the UK to represent the business. So that's one of the requirements. You cannot be a major shareholder to come to the UK to represent the overseas business. I mean, which makes sense, again, because you're sending a representative. You have to have your business owner outside the UK. Then they have this so-called, as I said, genuine assessment. And this is important. You will need to establish that the nature of your business or the industry that you are operating requires you to be in the UK. And this can be established in 2 ways. Either you already have existing UK clients, or you can show that because of the services you provide, you have potential and that you want to be in the UK to tap into the UK market. And that's how you establish it. It's a genuine business decision. It's similar to the skilled worker. If they feel that you're using this route to secure immigration status for someone, then they would refuse the application. Just very briefly about the dependents, family members. Now, we used to have clients that they run a family business, and the shareholders would be, for example, husband and the wife. And we used to apply for, let's say, the husband, who would have 40% shareholding, and then wife would come as the dependent, and the wife could have maybe 60% shareholding. Now, under the new rules, unfortunately, this won't be possible because the wife having 60% shareholding is seen as the person controlling the business, therefore should not be coming to the UK. So that's also important to look into. I mean, the changes are, again, to me, all make sense, and it's just trying to make sure that those who are genuine and who are looking into expanding their business in the UK can come to the UK. And they did not make changes as I expected, which may be a bit too rigid. So they will be flexible depending on the circumstances of the business. And if they are satisfied that the business needs to be in the UK to expand, the application will be approved, And we almost on a weekly basis have applications from different jurisdictions, not just from Middle East. And this is a popular category, and it is actually successful. So far, we have so many success stories since the change. So changes are not scary. It's simply that you need to submit your case in detail and explain that you have to be in the UK and that you're sending or appointing the most senior employee or the most suitable person for the purpose of this category. So I don't know if this introduction is sufficient to explain the category, but Dr. Musa, I don't know if you have questions.
Yeah, we have some questions like which people ask is that what is the turnover requirement for this?
That's a good question, but again, the rules are not that rigid. So they're not going to ask that, okay, you have to have 1 million turnover, you have to have 500,000 turnover. And I'm not sure if the question is about for the first application and the turnover of the parent company. So there is no requirement for that. Even for extension application, when you come to the UK and you set up the UK entity, when you apply for an extension, there won't be any requirement of a minimum turnover. There will only be a requirement that you have generated business, because it may be that you need to be working on securing a contract for 2-3 years, and eventually, as long as you secure one contract, doesn't matter what's the value of the contract, and it's a genuine business, you will and you should able to extend your visa. So there is no minimum turnover requirement.
Most of the people generally ask this question that is it that their kids can access to the school? Do they need to pay the fee? And the second question in this is that can they access the hospitals for medical care?
Yes, let's start with the children. Just the general policy, and this is also in the rules, that UK authorities must act in the best interest of the children, and this covers the migrants also. So the education, primary education, secondary education before university studies are part of the children's education, and as a result, those who are here as the dependent children of migrant workers, they will able to access to the UK education system free of charge. They don't have to pay. But as I said, this is in line with the general policy of acting in the best interest of children. And this is just as extension of that. They would also, of course, be eligible to use the National Health Services. But the rules change about the National Health Services. There was a policy decision. Now every migrant is required to pay a contribution called immigration health surcharge. So it's effectively you're coming here, paying your contribution to use the National Health Services. But after that, there's no limit. I mean, as long as you need treatment, you'll be allowed to use NHS, and you don't need to pay every time you use NHS, as long as you pay the immigration health surcharge.
That's great. That's great. So it means that those people who want to come here and want to settle and work, they have no worries in terms of their kids' education because in any case,
Correct.
kids' education will be free. And for
Correct.
healthcare, they will be paying everything in the start of their
From
visa.
the start, correct. A lump
So
sum
they will
payment,
be.
yes, and then it will be covered.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And one more question someone asked is that what is the requirement in terms of the employee transfer? Like if someone is a general manager, how old your employee should be if
This
they
is
want to
actually
transfer?
interesting. This is interesting. Again, there's no age limit, but I can give an example, practical, just example that would make it obviously easier. We had a case that one of the logistics firms, international logistics firms, wanted to send one of their employees to set up their UK entity. Normally, we would require a list of employees, and we provide the salary table. Normally, in general, you would see that the higher the salary is, the more the employee, the seniority level is. So a higher salary implies seniority. But in this case, the business wanted to send someone, not really someone close to the top of the salary table, but someone they really believed in, and she was quite junior, but they believed in her credentials, and she was genuinely the most suitable candidate for the business and the management. immigration authorities, UK immigration authorities, they picked on that and they just wanted to question. And that's just done normally part of an interview. And because the candidate was aware of the product and naturally was the most suitable candidate, she was just comfortable with the interview, and after the interview, her application was approved. So again, it's on a case-by-case basis. So the answer is no, there is no age limit. Someone who is 18 may come to represent an overseas business, as long as you can explain why this person is the most suitable person to represent the overseas business and show that he or she has the relevant skills.
That's an amazing option for the.
These are all good questions. I think this way it's more practical. So feel free. Any other questions from the audience? I find that it's easier this way to explain rather than me going in technical details.
That's good. So I will summarize for the audience that if you are doing a business anywhere and you want to transfer one of your employee who knows the business secrets and you feel that they are really important for your business, so
yes,
it's likely that you have an option, and this manager will be getting, like, the life of this manager can change in terms of
correct.
living in UK and the kids and
Correct.
and these folks can also qualify for indefinite leave to remain.
Correct. So let's just use your example, Dr. Musa. If you decide that you want to set up a new office here in the UK, and as an extension of one of your business interests, not just in Middle East, and then you want to appoint one of the managers. So the manager that you're appointing to come to the UK to set up your business would have initially 3 years visa. And at the end of that 3 years, you would need to show that you generated business in the UK. Then you would have 2 years visa for an extension. And at the end of the 5th year, your manager would able to apply for settlement and permanent residence, or indefinite leave to remain, you can refer it as. And then they can continue, obviously, working for you, or they will be free from immigration control. Maybe, I don't know if you had this question from the audience, but they may want to know if there is any minimum salary requirement for your manager in the UK working as your representative. There isn't any minimum salary requirement. Of course, the manager needs to get paid the minimum national wage, but also depending on their personal circumstances. For example, if your manager has family members and they live in central London and they're renting a property in Chelsea, and then they pay maybe £3,500 per month as rent, their expenses will be higher than someone who will be representing a business and based maybe in Cardiff. So it really depends on their personal circumstances. But when you apply for an extension, you will need to show that the salary you're paying your sole representative is sufficient for them to cover their expenses, including their family members. So that's
a very interesting point, actually, you raised, because if your employee or business is in central London, the cost will be different if they are in the maybe in Cardiff, as you said, in Wales.
Correct.
That is a bit cheaper area, and it depends.
Correct.
Like where you stationed at. So this is a very
correct. I mean, maybe someone living in Cardiff, 26,000 gross per annum with one child, maybe easily enough, but it may not be enough in the UK, and that's a problem because that salary needs to be enough to cover the family members' expenses.
That's great. I think for how much time it takes, some people ask that total procedure till you select an employee and you need to process this. How much time, weeks, months it takes?
Preparation, the time for preparation, it really depends on our client. It's a teamwork because we work on these cases together. We build the business plan together because we need input from the business. The business will need to explain their plans, what they've been doing. So we have clients that it would take 2 weeks just for us to prepare the case. We have had clients that it takes 8 months, 10 months for the case to be prepared and for them to be ready to submit. But after the application is submitted, normally it's 2 to 4 weeks, maximum 6 weeks, you get a decision. Normally, I mean, it shouldn't take too long after the application is submitted. it's about the preparation, and preparation, it depends on the client also. If they are organized and if
That's
they are
right.
ready
So
to,
if we get a very well prepared client who has a set of documents, their audited accounts are ready,
correct,
the banking transactions are good, and
correct,
the employment proofs are very solid. So, and then it
correct.
will be easy for a
We can
solicitor
move
to
pretty quickly, correct. But compare this with a case that the applicant who will be coming to the UK does not have a UK degree. They will need to take the English test. There is an English test at a minimum level, not B1, A1 level. And then we will need to show, like you said, companies audited accounts, or if they have audited accounts or financial statements. If they're not ready, they will have to get those prepared, translate them, and we will require some other company documents, notary statements, notarized statements. So some companies, because on a day-to-day basis they have other issues that they need to attend to, they delay these. But if they can quickly prepare all these documents, then within 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we should be able to submit the case.
a fast and quick option. I think people should utilize this no matter they are in any part of the world. It's not
Yes,
only there in the Middle East, you are in Africa, you are in India,
there is no restriction in terms of, correct, there is no
it's
restriction
a
in
very
terms
good way
of,
to bring your staff, expand, contribute to the
correct,
UK economy. Because
correct,
anyone who makes branch here is obviously contributing to their exports and the
correct,
economy in
correct,
UK. So it's a global
correct.
advantage to
There is
expand.
also, correct, there is also, it's a bit of an academic discussion maybe, but the definition of business, what qualifies as business. So obviously, in simple term, a limited company, limited liability company, these are acceptable, but not necessarily always that you need to be just a limited company. There are sometimes non-for-profit organizations or partnerships, limited liability partnerships, different forms of businesses. And if they need to expand, then they can. I mean, think about a law firm, for example. In some countries, you can't be a company as a law firm, you can only be a partnership. So that law firm may want to set up a branch here in the UK, and that's possible. So it's not just limited to companies. It's other forms of businesses are also acceptable.
That's also very useful information because, when you talk about limited liability company, generally we think that a big size company can only transfer, but a
Correct,
partnership or a sole trader, but you need to show that you are a real business, you have a banking
correct,
transactions, you have accounts, and you are your employee is working a bit time with you and he knows the trade secrets. And if he
correct,
really goes in UK, he's going to play some active role for your company, and this is going to benefit the UK economy and the country you operates from. I
correct.
think this is a very lovely discussion in terms of
Thank you.
sole representative option,
I mean,
and
this
I am
is
sure that
correct. This is very
no
popular.
one can does better than us, because we have a lot of clients all over the
Yes,
world, and so many years this product
correct.
has been going on.
Now,
Now, what
this is
about the new products that we
innovative category, right?
I remember that there used to be cases for £200,000.
That's the entrepreneur category,
So,
correct.
what is the new shape of these visas? What are their names and important information?
Correct. Now, I tried to explain briefly when I was discussing about the representative of the overseas business visa that the rules changed and the entrepreneur category was closed. Let's just go back and try and understand why the UK immigration authorities took that decision. Now, under the old rules, entrepreneur category, someone who had access to £200,000 and meet so-called English language requirements could come to the UK to set up any type of business other than property development and property management. So you could come to the UK to set up a restaurant. You could come to the UK to run dry cleaning shops. You could come to the UK to run florist shops. Any traditional business, any type of business. But at the end, the policy team decided that the businesses were not really benefiting the UK economy enough, and it was almost like a reduced threshold of an investor category, because we have this investor category which requires £2 million to be invested for UK businesses. And the entrepreneur category started being widely used by UK companies looking for investors to join in. And so you may have a small scale business that just requires a partner to come on board. So effectively, these migrants were coming to the UK and invest in the UK business, but they were not really actively involved in the business. So it was almost just like the investor category. And it's also obviously changing the policy that immigration authorities said we would only allow those who are coming to the UK to invest in a UK business on two conditions. If it's just any business other than property development and property management, we would only allow those bringing 2 million. So this is the investor route. You can bring 2 million and invest in any UK business. You don't have to be actively involved in the business. So you can buy stocks and shares of UK businesses. You will be allowed to stay here. This is the investor route. If you don't have access to 2 million, the category which Dr. Musa referred to is the so-called innovator. Immigration authorities said, okay, we will allow those who wants to set up a business in the UK, but only if the business is innovative. Okay, so we will focus on the definition of innovative and how this is assessed, or who makes this assessment if the business idea is innovative. And they said that it is a new business. So these are important: innovative business and a new business. And then they said, as long as these are there, we will reduce the threshold, not 200, 50,000 is enough. They said, as long as you have 50,000, you can come to the UK, as long as your business is innovative and it's a new business. And also, this has been a bit of a difficult period for us also, that under the old rules, the decision-making process, assessing the business, was done by the Home Office and the immigration authorities. So the caseworkers were effectively assessing your proposed business and trying to establish if it's a genuine business model. But they are immigration staff, and they're not necessarily business experts in all these fields, and it wasn't really working. And there was always this tension. Some of the decisions were wrong, and then as a result, appeal processes were pending and judicial review processes, because Home Office were making those decisions, and then you could challenge. So Home Office decided that this decision-making process should not be really done by the Home Office, and it should be done by professionals and independent organizations. So these are called so-called endorsing bodies. So endorsing bodies are businesses already working as, in simple form, like business consultants, helping startups, new businesses to structure themselves, to raise investment. So we refer them as endorsing bodies. So under the new route of this innovative visa, Home Office said, we will appoint certain number of organizations who will accept applications from migrants, and they will assess their businesses. And if they produce an endorsement letter confirming that your business model is innovative and meets the requirements of the new business, then we will process your application. So the decision making only for visa application, just for immigration history checks and security checks, are done by the Home Office, really. Yes, they have the right, they can still interview you, but the main decision is made by these so-called endorsing bodies. Okay. Let's just briefly discuss the new business also, the definition of what is a new business. It can be a business that you haven't, of course, incorporated, and you may say, here is my business idea, and this is what I would like to set up here in the UK, and this is an innovative business. There are other criteria about the business being scalable and viable. So you make a proposal, and the business endorsing bodies, they just monitor the proposal and they accept it or they don't. But if it's accepted, then you get the endorsement letter. That's obviously because you haven't incorporated the business, it's a new business. But there is something interesting which also qualifies as a new business, which is a business which has been set up, it's in the UK, but it's at the pre-trading, pre-revenue stage, which means the business has been incorporated, let's say in the UK by UK directors, and they're going through the research or development stage, and they're looking for also investors. So it's at the stage of, let's say, generating revenue, but they haven't generated revenue, they haven't started to generate, and they need investment. So some of the endorsing bodies, because they are like business consultants, they have this type of portfolio companies that they're helping to raise investment. So in some cases, some of our clients may not have their own proposed business model, but they may say, I would like to be a part of this business, and I'll be investing in this business, and then it would still work. And just to give a simple example, one of our clients a dual Iranian and US national. So he's based in the US, recent graduate, and he studied sports science. And this portfolio company that they are doing, it's like gym, but it's online, and it also allows memberships to be shared, etc. So it uses technology. Okay, so it's not in the form of a standard local gym that you're setting up. It uses technology. So he's becoming part of this because his background matched the business's model, and they agreed on the terms. So he's one of the co-founders now of this business, and it would work. So we have two ways of doing this. Either our clients would have their own business model. I had a client from Pakistan under this category that he came as someone bringing a new technology for skincare. And it's like a beauty salon, but it's not in the sense of traditional beauty salon. It uses a new technology that is not available in the UK. And then he thinks he can have branches all over the UK and it may actually spread. So it was accepted as an innovative business. So he's coming here to run his own business. So there are various businesses that you may incorporate technology and then it becomes innovative. So in short, the traditional businesses are not acceptable anymore, but we always find out, even though maybe on the face of it, the business is traditional, when we talk and discuss what the business have been doing, and they sometimes find out that they use technology and it may actually be a new opportunity for them to expand on that technology, and it becomes an innovative business. So it's always important to understand in full what the clients are as part of their services they actually offer.
That's great. I think now, because we are discussing in sequence, so we can see that if there is a traditional business, they can come through the sole representative option. And
Correct.
if you are an innovative person or innovative ideas
Business.
you have,
Yes.
we want to bring innovation in the UK.
Yes.
So innovation visa would looks attractive on the surface of it, as the investment looks £50,000.
Yes.
But what is like, I mean, at the face of it, it looks very nice, but we need to see till a candidate gets his passport, his or her
Okay, so
passport.
you're asking, okay, what does it lead to? Like you said, on the face of it, I mean, it's a program that is open to those with innovative ideas, but it's not easy for everyone to meet these requirements. We have to accept. That's why the immigration authorities are actually rewarding those who can meet these requirements and who come to the UK under this category. That the reward is in the terms of the period for settlement. Under this category, after 3 years, not 5, you can actually apply for permanent residence. It's just to attract innovative minds, innovative businesses to the UK. But it's not, obviously there are additional requirements. I will keep it simple. So of course you need to invest your 50,000, and that's not a lot most of the time. You just need to show that you invested 50,000. Then there are other additional requirements that you need to meet one of them. So you have to meet 50,000 requirement plus, for example, either you need to show that you are employing 5 local and settled workers, British citizens, or those who have settled status, or 10 if your employees are working on the national minimum wage. Or you may not have a business which requires this many employees, then you may get points because of your turnover. So it is acceptable if it's 500,000 and then you're doing an export of 100,000, or if you don't do any export, that you're doing 1 million turnover. So there are various other categories that, in addition to your 50,000, if you can show as an innovative business, if you either generated employment or you reach a certain amount of turnover, or you applied for certain IP rights, then you will be eligible to apply for permanent residence or indefinite leave to remain. But if you can't in the first 3 years, but you genuinely still you're progressing in line with your proposed business model, you'll be allowed to apply for an extension. So you can apply for an extension, and then when you meet these requirements, then you can apply for settlement under this category. So it's an incentive for those companies who are successful to apply after 3 years. It's only under this category. Even if you are married to a British citizen, you can only apply after 5 years. Under
True.
someone with an innovative business is actually getting a better deal.
I
Yeah.
think we all want to be innovative after this.
Yes,
That's great.
it is
So
getting popular. Yes, it is getting more
yeah,
popular.
some candidates ask me us this question that is it that when you generate a business, so you need to hire some staff, and of
Yes,
course, if you need to hire, you have to pay them salaries.
correct,
So effectively, you're not talking about £50,000. You are ending
correct,
up
correct.
in a
Of
bigger
course.
business plan. So please put your light on it.
Of course, 50,000 is the minimum, but the reason they say 50,000 is acceptable is because generating employment is not necessarily mandatory. It's one of the
Mhm,
requirements if you wanted
mhm,
to fulfill the eligibility requirements for applying for indefinite leave to remain. Imagine that you are just yourself with one employee, that you will be okay to generate a turnover of 1 million. So as a result, and 50,000 investment is okay to kickstart your business. So that's why, again, the whole changes that we've been discussing, they're not coming up with rigid, strict rules that wouldn't work for various different businesses. So it's there you have this flexibility. 50,000 is enough, and that this may be enough to kickstart your business, and your business will start generating revenue, so you can pay yourself, and then you can also employ someone if you have to. You don't have to if you don't need anyone, but then you just need to show that you met an additional requirement, as I explained, like you apply for an IP right, or you have a certain amount of turnover. So in answer to that question, if your business requires employees, then of course you will need more than 50,000 to employ five, especially five employees. They need to be minimum 25,000. That would be 125,000 pounds that you need to invest at least to cover the cost of the employees. And we are talking about other operational expenses. So it really depends on
That's
the.
true. That's true. Like 50,000 is just the beginning, and of course, yeah, because
Correct.
you're a real business, so you have multiple expenses related to your development, your staff, and your
Correct.
location, or all these things. And
Correct.
moving forward, what's the difference between startup and innovation
Startup
visa?
is, we didn't discuss about the, apart from innovative, how you
Hmm.
qualify. There is this section about that the model should be viable, and part of that, you need to show that you have the credentials required, the work experience and the experience of running a business, and you have a track record. So you're not just a recent graduate. You may, but then you just need to show how you will be successful. But the startup is the transitional period, that it's generally for someone who doesn't have enough experience, and that they need some time to gain the experience they need, then to actually hit the ground and then start running their business. So you may get up to 2 years for a business idea which is accepted as an innovative by one of the endorsing bodies. And then you would have these 2 years to gain the experience, and you may work in the same field that you're going to run the business to gain the experience that you need. But of course, it's for a temporary period, 2 years, maximum 2 years. You can, after 1 year, start running your business and switch to innovator. But that 2 years would not count towards the 3 years that I referred to for settlement. It's totally for startup, as someone who doesn't have enough experience, a recent graduate, or someone who wants to try a different field that they don't have experience, but they have a really innovative business idea that the endorsement body accepted. They may apply under the startup route. We had quite a few actually from Dubai under the startup route, those working for different companies in different sectors, that they decided they may run their own businesses. They haven't been running a business, they were working as a senior employee. So they applied under the startup route to say that they want to come to the UK, and this is their idea of the innovative business. They need to gain experience, so they come as a startup. And you don't need to invest anything. It's about showing that you genuinely have this business model and that you will able to execute it. And then you get up to 2 years visa. So still letter from endorsement body, and then you apply for the visa. 2 years, up to 2 years, you are in the UK. Then you need to switch to the innovator visa.
That's great. And these innovator and startups, these are the ones that you have to be inside UK, or you can apply from outside.
Both are acceptable depending on your immigration category in the UK. For example, if you're a student and you obtain your degree and you have a business idea that you want to pursue, and you can apply for a startup visa while you are in the UK. And in fact, most of the universities are themselves endorsing bodies. So universities, they have a panel that they assess their graduates' business ideas and they endorse them. So you get a startup visa by the endorsement of your university. So you can apply while you're in the UK. Or you may be working for a UK company on a work permit visa, skilled worker visa, and that you had enough of being employed and you want to run your own show. So you have a business model that you want to run, then you may switch to being an innovator. So all these categories, from not every category you can switch, but certain categories allows you to switch while you are in the UK. But of course, if you're outside the UK, you can make an application from outside the UK.
That's great. I think we have comprehensively covered different ways. So if there are different profiles, if you are a self-employed, you have an option. If you are a student, you have an option. If you are looking for a job, now all UK employers are open for you. So
Correct.
and
Correct.
and of course, all solicitor related work we can do for them. And anything else you would like to advise to the candidates who want to apply?
I would say, from my experience, they should not focus on the actual visa and what the visa requirement is. They should focus on their career and what they want to do. And then actually really the visa required for that category follows naturally. Okay. So if they want to set up a business here and it's an innovative business, they should do their research. They should really look at the market. They should be satisfied that this is a feasible project. And if it is, the rest follows very easily anyway. Okay, so then the endorsing body would endorse the business model because it will be obvious you've done your research and it's all genuine. So everything follows. So, but if you start with, okay, what does this visa require? What should I do? That's the wrong formula. And they should be business minded. Okay, and that resolves most of the categories. The same for someone coming to work here. If they have a unique selling point, if they are actively looking for a job, there are always businesses looking for entrepreneurial minds, looking for those ambitious, hardworking minds, and they would get a job offer, and those companies would sponsor them if they are serious. So that's what I would say, really, and they just need to be business minded, and then the rest would naturally follow. Yeah.
That's great. And some people generally ask, because if you are a family living outside of UK and you
Yes.
are planning to move in anywhere, like when they see Australia, UK,
Yeah.
Canada, US. So, I mean, if you want to address those kind of candidates who are confused
Mm-hmm.
that where to go, because every country now offering a point-based system, there are employment options, there are branch opening options, there are work permit options. Options are pretty same on every country's portfolios, but
I agree, but I think because you refer to the families, part of that are children. So most of our clients, the starting point is just the education for the children. And UK still, I think, offers the best education. So for the children's education, I think UK is the destination. And as long as I explained, the rest is planned from business point of view. I would say UK is the best option, but it depends on your circumstances, of course. Yeah.
uh, after the most important, your kids, because kids for a couple is, I think, 80% of the decision making goes around the
Definitely.
kids. So
Definitely.
the education in UK, of course, is the best. And what other things I can feel is the multicultural, because the
I
culture
agree.
itself is very intensely
It's accommodating. I mean,
connected, very,
correct.
yeah, accommodating. I mean,
Yes.
maybe in some countries we saw there are some still unacceptability issues stands, But in UK, I mean,
I agree. I
suppose
agree. I agree, Dr. Musa. I mean, diversity is really valued here, and in fact, they see the value in the diversity. It brings with it the success because effectively you bring all the entrepreneurial minds and those who are ambitious, hardworking. So you have this crowd of those ambitious, hardworking, focused people from all different backgrounds that generates the success. And UK in general, they value this, and as a result, also you feel that you're part of it from day one. It's a strange feeling, but when you step out of the train and then the flight and then start actually traveling in London, all of a sudden you're just part of the crowd and you don't feel like an outsider.
that's good. I think even the outsiders who come for a visit, they don't feel they are from outside.
Sorry, I
Such a
agree.
lovely country,
I,
lovely
I
people,
agree.
a lot
I
of opportunities, 66 million population, and diversified. Even I meet people from India, their grandfather migrated before 90s, and
correct,
their
correct,
all generations are here, and same
correct.
like for Africans, same for, so I mean, such an intense circle of settlement I never observed so far in other
You're
countries.
right. You're right. I mean, this also just kind of reminds me. I gave reference to, if you remember, the innovative route. You get settled status after 3 years, and I said you don't get this if you're married to a British citizen. So
Hmm.
this shows the policy that you're valued because of your innovative mind and because of what you're bringing on the table, and it's not because you're married to a British citizen, or it's not because of your relatives and etc. So this clearly sets the actual principles here that you'll be welcomed as long as you are going to be genuinely part of the system.
I think this is a very comprehensive comments, and what is your closing remarks for the day?
I think I most of the time come across clients starting, oh, UK is very difficult, and then they kind of put it aside. I would say that don't. I mean, UK is just genuinely looking for and actively looking for innovative minds and the successful businessmen and businesswomen. So don't just put your plans for UK off because you think it's too difficult. Talk to us, talk to Dr. Musa, and if you're genuine and that you have the credentials, it's not hard. It's simply you just need to show that you're genuine in your intention to come to the UK to run a business or to work for a business. That's what I would say most of the time. I come across those that they don't consider UK because they think it's too difficult.
True, you're right. And I think with our help and support and our ongoing seminars that we have initiated in order to guide people for the new categories, this
Yes,
will make the people life easy. And we always welcome them to ask any question. They can approach
correct,
us anytime.
correct,
And all
correct.
our professional team is, of course, here to help them in order
Correct.
to reach to a life which is
Yes,
which their kids are looking for, where a global culture, free education, standard of living, and an opportunity visa-free countries wherever you want to go. I mean, you have immense future for your family and yourself.
correct, correct. And I
Mm.
think obviously it's a shame we can't face the audience, but I feel their presence with your questions. So
Um,
hopefully
Yeah,
this
I
will
mean,
be
generally it happens this way that what we do is we take all the questions one day before and we sort out which are to be asked. Now what
yes,
we will do is, of course, they will receive these videos by emails and by their other platforms. And then, of course, if they generate serious interest, and of course, we will
of
study
course
them
we'll
case to case basis and we'll try to evaluate that who are the potential and the right and genuine, as you said, candidates to apply for UK. So with
agree.
this, I want to thank you very much for giving your time and
Pleasure.
enlighten us with this opportunity.
Pleasure. This was a great opportunity, and hopefully this is going to be productive for the listeners. And we look forward to working with potential entrepreneurs or innovators, students, or SOREPs.
That's great. Thank you very much. And now we will move towards the last section of our discussion. That is that if you really want to move to the UK, Berkeley is your right partner, and our team of lawyers and experts across the globe, whether you want to go to Australia, Canada, United States, or United Kingdom, options and are open for you if you're a student. The good news for you is there is a post study work permit has already been started. So you can, after completing your study in UK, you can work for some years, and of course then you find the new ways of which category you have to transfer in order to get your indefinite leave to remain, which will lead to a passport. And if you are a self-employed, you want to grow your business, sole representative category is the perfect category for it. And you can send one of your nominated employee who can work on your behalf and grow your business as a physical, actual presence. That's a very good option. Also, if you're an employee and you want to move to UK as an employee and you're looking for an employer, so you have to contact Berkeley and meet our Middle East office or call us in our UK office. We are here to help you always. So, with this, I would like to thank all of you who attended this seminar, who showed interest. We have more than 500 potential leads that has been connected to us. And we thought that it's not possible to answer one by one to everyone. Let's do a seminar and enlighten everyone. I'm sure that this will be quite useful, and I hope to see you in the new upcoming seminars on immigrations. And till then, wherever you are, whatever you do, take great care of yourself and goodbye.